What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to continue with the turbo CRV with the B16 swap. Now if you guys haven't seen the last video, we finally got the clutch to show up and we installed the entire setup back into the CRV the same day, and we're like 85% done. So I didn't want to get too far ahead of myself with, you know, cracking down on finishing up the CRV. I want to take you guys along with me. By the end of this video, the goal is to fire this car over. So the homie is at work right now, and later this evening he's going to come by to drop off the ECU, the Hondata that was refurbed by the homie Nomis, and the jumper harness to make that work, because this car is an OBD2 and the ECU is OBD1. So there's a few things that we still got to do in between while we wait for parts. But before we dive into the CRV, kind of want to talk about Big Bertha real quick. In the previous video as well, I said that I had to move Big Bertha over here because they're doing street sweeping and they have not done it just yet. But Big Bertha is sitting right here. For those who are wondering where it's been, yeah, the truck is still in the backyard. It's buried in the mud. Not sure when I'm going to bring it on board. Not sure of the plan. Not sure when I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the car just yet. Or sorry, the truck just yet. But Big Bertha has been sitting around the corner, just kind of like waiting for its day to shine again, because realistically it doesn't run well. The last time I drove Big Bertha was when I took Project Blueberry to the track, went 11.5 and spun the bearing. So Big Bertha has been sitting. I turn it on at least once a week to make sure everything's working and running. But the reason why I stopped driving Big Bertha here, the reason why a lot of my cars get driven to the track, is because the tow rig is not towing right now. The reason why I say this, because one night me and the homie Leo came out here to get the Big Bertha ready to load up to take a car to the dyno, and the car wouldn't turn over. Sorry, the van wouldn't turn over. And when it finally did turn over, it was just puffing out black smoke and it was crazy. And I'm starting to think the carburetor has taken a shit. It turns on now easily, but it puffs smoke like crazy. Last night it was white. Back then it was black, and I think something with the carb, something with fuel dumping into it, is causing this thing to not run well. It'll turn on, it'll idle, but when you start driving it faster than an X amount of speed, it starts to choke out. And I'm almost certain that's what it is. My uncle, nobody has touched the carbs in this thing in years. And not only just the carburetor, the brakes don't work well. I mean, it stops pretty hardcore, but when you step on the brakes, it goes to the left, because only the left side caliper is stopping. The passenger side, I'm almost certain, is stuck. So there's still a lot of work to do with the Bertha before we can actually take it on trips again. And I actually spoken to my brother and I spoke to my tuner about putting this thing on EFI Holly Sniper. Guy said he's down to tune it. My brother said he's down to pay for it. So definitely gonna work out the kinks with that, and we might convert this thing to EFI just to kind of gain a little bit more power and also get rid of the carbs. Big Bertha soon, it's gonna be towing again. Let's get back to the CRV. The CRV, I'm gonna try to keep it super simple in this video as well too, guys. There's only a few minor odds and ends we need to do here. We're gonna have to put transmission fluid, which we have, engine oil, which we have. We're gonna wire up the VTEC, run the battery tray, run the fuse box, all the starter, alternator, power cables to here. Another thing too, I gotta run to the parts store if I don't have it in my bin, is to get a new upper radiator hose, because this hose right here is for the non-VTEC B20 LS GSR style, where the water neck is up in the front. B16 and Type R, the water neck's in the back, and I don't want to try to stretch this too far because it is kind of short. So I'm gonna have to get like a B16A2 hose, or maybe a little bit different because the radiator is a little bit taller. But we need an upper radiator hose, and I mean, once everything seems to be Gucci, we can fill the coolant. So I'm going to do engine oil first and save the transmission fluids for last, because for whatever reason something happens and this thing got to come back out. We're not going to waste transmission fluid. So first things first, get this red zone funnel screwed in here. I run Rotella all day, every day, guys. And I know everybody has their own preference. What do you guys run in your turbo setup? Let me know. I've used Brad Penn. I've used VR1. I've used VR1 Racing, Mobile One 1030. Rotella if you're running E85, Rotella's cheap enough to change frequently, opposed to, like, you know, running some more expensive oil. We're gonna run some ZDDP, half a bottle. Now this is only 3.7, and with Rotella, I usually have an extra one of this on the shelf, and I use it to fill up the rest of the way every time I use one of these on any of the cars that I used. A little under a quart, which would put this, I don't know, under 5 maybe. So this is the original B20 hose, right? Goes off the radiator into the cylinder head. We need to go that way. In my bin of hoses, I don't want to cut these one up because this is for B series, and I use this one for K series, so future projects. This one's about the same. This one's smaller. This one is the same size, longer, but in a weird shape. Okay, we might be able to use this one. Let's see, which way is best? I think this way. Okay, so it's a little long. This thing right here is still working beautifully. Still nice and sharp. Well, that kind of worked out perfectly. Alrighty. So I want to button up the battery tray area, and what I need to do here is wire up the VTEC before we can button up everything, because I am going to use the factory harness location to run the wire through the firewall. So the only thing we're wiring here in the engine bay is the VTEC solenoid. Now the VTEC pressure switch, if you have Hondata or a manageable ECU, you can delete the VTEC pressure switch in the program. We're running S300 V1 or V2 in this car, and it has the option to disable VTEC pressure switch. Now, if you want to run VTEC pressure switch, I'll be sure to throw the you know, the diagram on the screen for you guys to wire in the VTEC pressure switch to your ECU harness. So we're not going to be using VTEC pressure switch in this setup, and we're not going to be using the knock sensor. So we're not going to wire either or of those, only a single wire for the VTEC solenoid. So just to take you guys inside the car really quickly, on the jumper harness, because we are going OBD1, the VTEC wiring is on the A plug, which is the larger of the three, and it's on slot A4. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's this wire right here in the back side. Right there, right? And you can wire this in multiple different ways. You can wire in the ECU jumper harness directly, just so that you're not touching any of the factory wiring. So you can either like T-tap into the A4, right? You can T-tap into this and then have a single wire run all the way to the solenoid, or you can just literally D-pin it off of here and then run a direct wire from that slot A4 right here directly to the VTEC solenoid. And if you guys want it to be a little cleaner, just so that there's not a bunch of wiring everywhere, the CRV harness is like a standalone harness, right? Like a tuck harness. And if you want the wiring harness to kind of loom into this non-VTEC harness, you can wire in the VTEC to the ECU plug instead. So on the corresponding side of the OBD1 to OBD2, it's this slot right here. So this gray plug, this slot right here, 1, 2, 3, 4 in the middle row, you can see that it's empty, right? It's empty because this is a non-VTEC harness, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the VTEC wiring on the engine harness itself and just make this one, you know, like wiring loom to itself. This will be separate to itself, and I'm gonna find a pin off some old ECU plugs that I have. This is why I go to the junkyard and pull things that I may or may not need, but I got a bunch of cutoffs right here, and I did de-pin it with my welding wire, and here is a pin, and I'm keeping it green because the VTEC wiring is typically green. So this right here should plug into the OBD2 plug for the ECU, and then I'm just gonna have to extend this side right here to go all the way to the VTEC solenoid. I'll show you guys after I get it done. There's our VTEC wiring right there, clipped in. So I have two of these plugs right here, which is the same as the VTEC solenoid plug, right? It's a single wire, and I don't have the male side. In case you guys didn't know this, that same plug can be found on the AC compressor, and I'm gonna have to rob this, I'm not gonna lie, but I'm trying to de-pin this to see if I have another terminal like that, just so that I don't have to clip this wire, and I can just go to the junkyard, get the same plug it back in to still use this compressor for a later project. But yeah, I'm gonna rob this, and we're gonna make sure we put a plug on the solenoid rather than hardwire it. So in my organizer of random crap, I have a bunch of these terminals that I've clipped off like previous distributor plugs and such, and I already took off the plug from the AC compressor, and it looks like this guy is identical to the terminal that's on here. I can assure you guys, the GoPro can't focus, but I can assure you guys these are exactly the same. So this is the terminal I'm going to use for the male end of the plug, and I believe the male end is what goes to the VTEC solenoid, and then from the ECU will be the female side. So I forgot I had this bin right here for my electrical stuff, and I knew I had a roll of black wires, so I'm going to use that, and I'm probably going to use this sleeving right here. It's a little big for a single wire, but you know what, you just got to pull it tight and take away the slack. There we go. That'll work. And this right here is the harness we're gonna run inside. VTEC wiring, zip to the factory harness, goes all the way around over there. There it is, little slack, connect it, and then inside the car, that wire we added in, soldered and shrink tubed, and now this wire comes off with the harness whenever it comes back out of the car. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and do all the battery tray and battery fuse box, the alternator and the starter power cable right now. Okay guys, so I don't know what I'm doing here, right? I got S Manager open up on my laptop. You pretty much just go to new calibration. If you're not building a map from scratch, because I'm not a tuner and maybe you guys aren't either, but you can go to the new calibration list and select something that's very close to your setup. Now we have a B16A2 turbo, and right now we're just kind of treating the turbo like a header setup, so we're just really selecting a stock B16 map. Now they don't have like a, you know, EM1 specifically on here, but they have JDM P30, right? That's a B16A. They have a US B16, which is like a Del Sol, so US P30. These guys are all stock injectors. These numbers are here on the side. and it goes all the way up to like 750 cc's, 450, 550s, turbocharged, supercharged, nitrous, ITB. Just find one that fits your setup. So we're pretty much just gonna run a stock USDM P30 with stock injectors. And mind you guys, we're not going to touch any of this, right? We're just going for startup. Realistically, I want to prime the fuel and prime the engine of oil with the injectors unplugged, just so that we can build oil through the engine. We don't know how long it's sat. We don't know how much oil is in there. I did pre-lube the whole valve train with like half a quart. So there is some oil, but we need oil to go through the turbo line, the turbo, the return line, and just throughout the entire engine itself. But all we're pretty much going to do is we're going to go through each of these like windows and just select the stuff that we're not needing, right? So analog input, nothing. Boost controller, nope. Closed loop. We're gonna disable the O2 sensors because right now it currently has the OBD2 sensors in it, and obviously we don't need O2 sensors for when we're, you know, getting on a dyno unless you have an AFR wideband, but that's a whole different thing. Closed loop, let me see, closed loop advanced, digital output, fixed fuel, fuel compensation, fuel injector, stock, fuel trim, fuel throttle shift, gear comp, idle, ignition comp, launch control, map sensor. We have a stock map sensor for right now. Later, we're going to swap that over to a 4-bar. Miscellaneous, we're going to disable knock sensor. You don't have to disable ELD if you don't have a check engine light. We can disable that just to, you know, rule it popping up later. Injector, barometric meter, like all of this, you can click them all off. If you know, if it doesn't apply. Nitrous, 1, 2, 3 notes, onboard data logging. Protection, I'm not going to worry about protection right now, right? But because this is a turbo setup, override the fan, I'm probably going to do like 185 for right now. You know, for when we do the cooling system, we want the fan to kick on, then we know it's sitting at 185 already. Rev limits, not worried about it. Secondary, security, shift light, traction control, TPS. We're gonna have to calibrate this inside the car to make sure our TPS is working. It is the factory throttle body. We didn't touch the TPS at all, but it should be okay. But with S300, you want to just calibrate it anyways. TPS ignition, VTEC. So we're gonna disable VTEC pressure switch because we did not wire it. VTEC enabled. We're not worried about any of these parameters because we're just doing a quick, you know, base map, load up, startup. That's all we're doing. All of this is going to be the tuner portion. So now I'm just going to go ahead and take my S300, my laptop, my cable, load it up into my ECU, and then calibrate TPS, do all the cranking, starting, check the fuel pressure, check the fuel, make sure we're not leaking. And I'm not entirely sure if the jumper harness that's in the car now is going to work because I know it didn't work before. And then Eric bought a new one, which he took with him that he's supposed to deliver today. But it turns out that it was actually his ECU that was the problem. The homie Nomis, you know what I'm saying? He went through the ECU and that thing was chopped. But he took care of it. So I don't know if the jumper harness is in the car now worked before and it was just an ECU problem, or it could be part of the problem. I don't know. We're going to find out right now. Key in on position real quick. Oddly enough, there is a map in there, but the fuel pump didn't turn on. Yeah, that conversion harness might be chopped because without this plugged in, we don't have power to the ECU. It's not turning on at all. That not turning on is not triggering the main relay, and it's not triggering the fuel pump and such, which is why the check engine light is not coming off. Guys, we have a major problem. So even with the ECU not connected or getting power, I was like, let me try to crank it over real quick just to prime the oil. And it makes a crazy ass noise. And this noise is kind of familiar. So let me show you guys. No ECU, we're just cranking this thing, right? Listen to it. That noise, I've had that noise happen in my wagon a couple of years ago. I put a brand new Action twin disc clutch into my K series, and the pressure plate was grinding up on the inside of the bell housing, and I'm not entirely sure why this would be an issue to this car. The Exetti clutch is more or less, you know, an OEM replacement clutch. I torqued the flywheel down to specification, pressure plate bolts, pressure plate, clutch, all aligned, torqued down to spec. The transmission was a little fight because it was heavy with the transfer case, but I got it slipped over both dowel pins, and as I snugged the bolts down, the case closed perfectly fine. The crank rotates by hand, no problem, so I don't think there's an issue with like the input shaft to the clutch. But that's not what it sounds like. It sounds like the pressure plate, like, face is rubbing up on the inside of the transmission. That noise that I'm hearing, it's not a nice sound, guys. Setback after setback after setback. It's crazy. Sometimes that's just how it is. Sometimes there's just stuff that's like unforeseen. We don't expect things like this to happen, but sometimes it happens. I don't know where to go from here, because everything is in the car. Stiff motor mounts, turbo kit. It's going to be hard to drop that transmission when it's in the engine bay. Not saying that it can't be done, because I've done it, but man, I'm not looking forward to like putting it back up. You know what I mean? If the transmission is rubbing up on the pressure plate, I don't know if I want to grind it down or whatever the case is to make the whole ordeal work. Do I want to like switch out the pressure plate and put the ACT pressure plate on and see if that will work? But like, why would it rub? B series wise, I've never heard it rubbing before. With Action, it kind of like self-clearance itself, because obviously like I'm still running the same clutch, no problem, and I didn't really do anything other than let it just kind of grind itself out. But actually, it's not just Action either. I'm not throwing them under the bus. I've seen comp clutch, I've seen 725 faces of the pressure plate grinded up pretty bad against the case on a lot of race cars, which is, I guess, is common for the twin. But a regular clutch though doing that, and off tops, that's the only thing I can think of that's doing that, because it sounds at the transmission area and there's nothing else there that will make that kind of noise. It's a rotating noise. So gotta figure something out. Okay, so Eric is here, and I rigged up a push start for the starter, and I started like cranking it right here, and it sounds like the starter is not engaging with the flywheel. And what it smells like it's like metal on metal or something. I'm gonna have him crank it, and I'm gonna sit down here. It's kind of dangerous, but see if the flywheel or the engine even rotate. Hit it for like a couple seconds. Again. Oh, it does. Try to hold it real quick. Yeah, I don't know what it's rubbing on, but what's weird is that the starter is engaging and then it's not engaging the flywheel, like it's just hitting it or something. So I pulled the starter out. It's kind of hard for you guys to see it, but the flywheel teeth is kind of like, I don't know, it's like meshing up, like kind of dogged out a little bit, like, you know, when you got a messed up synchro. So if you look at the starter itself, it flattened out on the top. Like it's flattened out, like it's not meshing accordingly. You can see where like the fresh material, it's like shaved off. That's not good. My brother has his camera right here. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to shove it down into the boot right here, see if I can see anything weird going on, because I really don't want to pull the trans out, man, but I might have to. But I want to stick the camera in there and see what I can find.
That is advertising, bro. Fuck. Advertising like 39.
You guys see that line right there? That line? Something is rubbing up on the pressure plate right there. You guys see that line? That's a fresh line.
Dude is too damn crazy. So
so
the view, fuck, just like TikTok saying.
You can see the release bearing. It's sitting up on the fingers. The fingers look good on the pressure plate. You can see the spline of the transmission. Doesn't look like it's like sheared or anything. So we have the Hondata V1 refurb from Nomis hooked up with the new jumper harness, and hopefully we're able to get the let me see. So it has a cover on. Hopefully we get some light going to the ECU. Nada. Is there something unplugged? Like this one's also not getting power. Look. Nothing. Guys, I spent a couple hours yesterday on this car and a few today trying to figure out why the main relay and the ECU was not getting power. And I went back to go check all the fuses and everything, and I found the fuse for the main relay to see if it was popped, and it wasn't. And I'm sitting in the car and I'm like, I really hate electrical. And then I remembered sitting there that there's a secret switch like a lot of us Honda guys do, and I don't remember ever touching it, but I guess I did, because when I flipped it on, everything works like it's supposed to. Let me show you guys. We now have check engine light, fuel pump, and everything like it's supposed to. Look at that. Everything is working like it's supposed to. Man, sometimes I just be forgetting things, to be honest with you guys. And right now I don't want to turn the car on because the battery has been draining from all the cranking I've been doing. But what I'm going to do right now is going to clean up all my mess, right? I'm going to plug up the S300, load up the map we built for it yesterday, put my jumper pack on, and see if we can fire it over with the base map. Gotta be careful, man. Got Speed Devotion in the building. Sheesh. Got the homie Mock Films here. You guys can't see his SI, but... So last night I put a pause on working on the CRV because the homie Eric Mock Films pulled up in his 8th gen Civic, and he needed help modifying his seat rail to install his new Sparkle seat. So that took a little while because, you know, when you buy like a no-name brand rail, you're gonna need to mod it a little bit. So we spent a few hours putting on the driver's seat, and by the time we were done with that, it was like 11:30, 12, and I just wrapped it up. So today I plugged up the S300 ECU with the new jumper harness that Eric bought, and we're gonna program it right now with the base map that I built the other day, and we're gonna see if we can fire this car over. One more thing I need to do is to calibrate the TPS, and it should fire over, and I'm hoping that there's no real check engine lights. I'm gonna go ahead and load this map right here, the B16 map. I'm gonna go ahead and thunderbolt this real quick, right? And you want to go down right here to TPS. Right now, without me stepping on the pedal, we're gonna click read 0.12. That's pretty good. And then full throttle all the way down. Click the other one. It says maximum. We are reading 101.57. Okay, that's pretty damn close. So I'm gonna go ahead and load this, and then right now it should be 0, and then wide open throttle should be 100. All right, so we got the map in here. Fuel pump priming. We do have a check engine light. VTEC spool. VTEC spool is VTEC solenoid. Now it's flashing. 10, 11, 12. What? Oh, look! I the VTEC wire that I added in came out right there, and I kind of figured this because this is an OBD1 ECU pin, and this is OBD2 because I'm trying to put it to the harness, and I guess it slipped out because the pin is slightly different. I'm gonna have to go to the junkyard, find an EK or a CRV, and cut the ECU plugs to get a pin from it to wire in the VTEC directly. Otherwise, a quick fix will be to wire it to the OBD1 side, which is black wires right here, and that'll, you know, allow VTEC. But I want to do it I want to do a little bit more cleaner than to jump into the jumper harness. But anyways, it should turn over, I think. Oh, okay, well, it turned on. Thunderbolt this real quick. One error code, VTEC spool. If I just disable the VTEC for right now, just to get rid of that check engine light, just to make sure we don't have like any other check engine lights popping up. Let's see. Clear DTCs, no check engine light. Oh, it revs through. It revs through. B16 swap CRV is on. If you guys look back here, I don't have the catch can lines. I gotta kill the car before it makes a mess back there. Hey, we know it turns on. We know it turns on. I also checked tracking. The catch can should be here tomorrow, so we can run the lines on the back of the block, because just that quick little idle right there already made a little bit of mess down there. But not too bad though, not too bad. That's kind of granted. It's open. It's an open port. But anyways, B16 swap, man. We're almost there. We're almost there. Guys, I am so freaking pissed. I fill up the cooling system with water just to make sure there's no leakage or anything before I put coolant into it. And I was just going to like warm up the car and get the system bled out and make sure our problem wasn't persisting. So I filled it up with water and I started hearing it drizzle on the floor. You guys see that? So I thought, man, the block might be cracked. I can't see where it's coming from. So I tracked it like behind the water pump, and I was like, it can't be the water pump because it would be drizzling underneath the crank pulley, not underneath the alternator. So I took off the alternator bracket to make sure that, you know, I didn't crack the block using the wrong hardware, even though it's the matching hardware. And it looks like it's coming from the water pipe seal, and the way it's pissing out like waterfall, I feel like there's no O-ring in there. Because if you guys saw the B16 assembly video, I said that a lot of stuff off this engine was removed beforehand, was clean beforehand, kind of. And somebody might have taken off the water pipe before. It must have not put in an O-ring or put it back on and squished the O-ring or whatever. But what a freaking headache, man. I've been tracking and tracing. Oh, if I'm being honest with you guys, I am like so over this thing. I am so over this thing. So many back and forth with this freaking car. And you know, a water pipe is not usually something you remove. And now that I got the engine kind of like in place, it's a pain in the ass to get to. I don't want to pop off the intake manifold, and if I take off the water pipe around the intake manifold, there's a lot of stuff in the way that sits in front of the water pipe that I got to remove. And you know, I can break the knock sensor. I can you know, like just I'm sure you guys would know this by now. Working on a car is not cakewalk. Sometimes this is just some of the struggles you got to deal with when working on cars, right? And this car has been kicking my butt since the day that it showed up, man. But you know, we're not trying to let the frustration get the best of us, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cap the video out here. Why? Because I feel like I can focus more and do more work rather than focus on trying to give you guys an update as we go, trying to, you know, sort out and situate this car. You guys heard the car, it turns on, everything seems fine. Just trying to bleed the cooling system out, which you guys should know the process of that. We've done it bajillion times here on the channel. I want to focus on buttoning up this car. I think this car is still going to be here for another day or so because we're waiting for the catch can to show up. And I think when the catch can show up, we're going to build the catch can line setup, and we're also going to probably do a compression test, get the car back on the floor, obviously, throw the bumper back on, and just kind of like do an overall button up with the car. Obviously, we'll dive into all of that once I know everything is Gucci with this leak, which I'm gonna spend the rest of my day trying to sort out. So this video, I hate to run it on so many days. I think we're like 3 days into this video already, and sometimes it has to be like that, but I don't want it to be like that. You guys know what I mean? You guys obviously seen everything in today's video, dropping the engine into the car, buttoning it up entirely, and then, you know, getting the S300 and all of that stuff to work electronically. And the rest of the way is just the button up stuff with a little hiccup. But anyways, I am going to cap out this video right here. Before we do, I did go to the PO box yesterday to grab the last package that was sent over from the homie Henry. If you guys don't remember, we unboxed 2 packages from him in the previous video. He said a third one was on the way, and he said that this one of the 3 is my birthday gift, and I have not unboxed it yet, but he already kind of spilled the juice on Instagram. And based off the package, this is exactly what it is inside the box. The ultimate custom dash cover. He said that this is a custom dash cover for the right-hand drive EF2. Now, obviously, you can't use a USDM because the hump of the dash mat will be on the opposite side. So, Henry, you guys, let's open this together. Cut away from yourself, not towards yourself. Oh, it's like all the way down there. Look, it's like way down right here. That's very interesting. Ooh, it's black too. Pause. Custom dash mat for the right-hand drive EF2. So I want to go ahead and, ooh, it is a custom one for a right-hand drive. Ooh. Looks like this is a 2-piece right here. This one goes on the front of the dash towards the windshield where the vents are at, and then this one right here goes over the cluster bezel, right? So yeah, that's freaking awesome, man. Dash Designs, that's what it's called right there. So yeah, I mean, I'm gonna install this probably at a later time because the inside of the car is kind of dusty right now. So once we like clean everything with the EF2, we'll definitely get this set up and I'll take you guys along with it. But as far as this video goes, I hope you guys enjoy a little bit of the progress update on the CRV with the B16 swap. If you guys did, be sure to leave a thumbs up, and if you guys want to stick around for the finalization of this car, be sure to hit the subscribe button. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys at the next video. Peace. So just as I suspected, guys, whoever took it off and reinstalled the water pipe used the wrong O-ring. If you look, the left side is smaller and thinner. The right side is thicker and a little bit larger. This is the B16. This right here is from the B20.